Oily. Welcome back to Blackberry News, where everything is connected. What's going on? I'm going to apologize in advance for the any choppiness of the stream. So I've been having an ongoing issue, which I guess I haven't worked out, which is that once I turn my VPN on, I can't really turn it off, or else all of my Jesus Christ, come on, Odyssey. Come on, Odyssey. Yeah. Odyssey looks a little bit, I don't know. How does Substack look? I can't tell. I can tell how Substack looks. All right. There's people watching on Substack. That's great. Good to see you. Looks a little fuzzy on Substack. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know how it looks on YouTube. I'm sorry, guys. Guys. Held on. Anyways, I can't seem to really figure out this issue. I don't know where it's stemming from. But anyways, if I turn my VPN off, my browser loses all connection to the internet. And I know there's a fix there somewhere. I don't know what it is. I've searched it. I've read up on it. I've Googled it. I just don't. It's still happening. So I could not turn. What all of that is to say, I couldn't turn my VPN off. So I'm doing the show with the VPN on, which actually slows down the stream and tends to make it a little bit choppy. And I apologize. A bit blurry, yeah. It's just going to be a little bit blurry today, and I just apologize in advance for that. I'm sorry. We'll try again tomorrow. The only way I can get my internet back is to turn the VPN off, turn my computer completely off, and then restart everything. And then my internet comes back kind of regularly in a regular fashion. So I don't know. Gene Whitworth on Substack says, been listening to Jeffrey Sachs too. He's applying JFK's riding the back of the tiger might be its next meal analogy for how Europe's right now being bullied by the empire on Greenland. It's a pretty big story. It's developing. You know what I haven't actually seen too much of is, I don't know what's going on in Davos is happening right now. The EU suspends approval of U.S. trade deal over Greenland threats. Trump rules out taking Greenland by force, but calls for immediate negotiation. So basically, like, and we talked about it last week. Well, I don't know if I have time to play one of his clips right now, but the guy that I played the other day, Zachary, has been doing some deep dives into why they want Greenland. And if you haven't seen his clips, or if you haven't heard this particular take yet, the reason why is because of freedom cities. So he has linked the taking over of Greenland to what's the guy's name? I'm blanking on his name right now, but he's basically part of the PayPal mafia, and this all is tied. Did I play this clip the other day? I feel like I played a Zachary clip the other day, but did it have to do with Greenland or something else? Something economic. I can't remember. I will go on. So apparently, you guys know about Prospera in Honduras. Prospera is like a corporate town that was started in Honduras. It is, or a freedom, also known as a freedom city. And Prospera has run into legal problems. It's kind of tied up in why Trump pardoned the ex-president of Honduras. So what this particular person thinks, Zachary thinks, is that, and this could all very well, it's probably multi-layered. Right? I'm guessing it's not for one reason, because a lot of their plans are multi-layered. Greenland also has minerals. Greenland supposedly has oil. Greenland has, things that we might need there if we take it over. But Greenland also is a place where we could establish freedom cities with very little oversight, and they can kind of test drive these freedom cities. They want to bring the freedom cities to the U.S. Trump has even said freedom cities, that he wants freedom cities to be developed. And he thinks that the idea to take over Greenland actually isn't Trump's. It's what is this guy's name again? It's going to come to me in a second. But he is one of the PayPal mafia. There are many of the PayPal mafia. He is tied to Peter Thiel. He is tied to Elon Musk. He is tied to all of these guys. that are in the PayPal mafia. He has ties to them and has actually started an LLC in Delaware. The name of the company is like Greenland Adventure, Greenland something. So Greenland is in the name. All of these things are what the corporate class wants to start developing. And it's pretty much, corporate towns, semi-enslavement villages, etc. Again, guys, I apologize for the choppiness of the stream. If you're watching on Odyssey, hello. F. Elon is watching on Odyssey. What's up, man? What is this link? What's this link? Oh, thanks. Tiptoe through the tulips. All right. No, it's not Ken Howery. Howery. I only heard his name like 15 times this morning, and I can't remember what it is. So again, Greenland is a multi-layered adventure, and it also, gives the U.S. strategic capabilities, right? We have, we own or control more land in the Western Hemisphere or Northwestern Hemisphere. It gives us, more control over Arctic territory. You can also layer in the whole climate change. The Arctic's going to open up. There's going to be a lot of opportunities in the Arctic because of less ice on Greenland. There are going to be, a lot of opportunities up there, and we want access, and Greenland allows us access to all of these opportunities. Nope, not Trident. No, not Trident Brown. What the? Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see. I'm going to find it. And you know who also the idea of getting Greenland is tied to? John Bolton. John Bolton. The murder walrus. That's Steve Poikinen's term, not mine. John Bolton, the mega warmonger, who was supposedly on the outs with Trump, but he had the idea for getting Greenland a while ago. Where is this guy's name? So Elon Musk is in there. Is it this? Ken Howery is in there, for sure. But he's not the one that he's talking about. There's one particular guy who's like really pushing this idea. Where is it? Greenland Development Partners. Here it is. The name of the company is Greenland Development Partners. Which is, hold on, I'm trying to find it. Hold on, I'm almost there. Larry Fink is also tied to this. The Lord Satan also is tied to this. Hold on, almost there. Come on, man. Come on, man. Okay, well, we're gonna get there. Come on, man. There's just dead air going on the show right now. I can't get this to stop in the right place. Here we go. Anyways, whatever. We'll just we'll carry on. I'll find his name eventually. So the Greenland escapades are centering have a lot of interest from the guys that are controlling the United States of America at the moment. Russia and China have been very active in the Arctic. Yeah. Russia built a big icebreaker. Yeah. Yeah, there are multiple reasons why we want to go into Greenland. Multiple. It would be a big win for the Imperial Empire, the evil Imperial Empire. Everybody knows about the letter that Trump sent to Norway's prime minister, right? Says, because you didn't give me the Nobel Peace Prize, I'm going to go take Greenland. No, not Larry. All of those guys are tied up in this. So all of those people, Ellison, Fink, all of them, everybody is interested in this. No, the guy I'm thinking of is like somebody you haven't heard of. He's kind of he's one of the more behind the scenes type people. He's not a big name. He's not a name you would recognize. Here's a pretty applicable post from Peter Dines. Greenland has been in the news for all the wrong reasons. The real story, a relic of the last ice age. The ice sheet is disappearing before our eyes, losing 10,000 plus square meters of ice every second. Or meters, not square meters, meters cubed every second amid a 12 C temperature anomaly. If it all melted, sea levels would rise 7 meters. That's also happening. So let's switch gears for a second and talk about the weather. I know some people are like, that's not news, bro. I don't know. If the weather came and took your home or your food, it'd be some, you'd probably want somebody to talk about it. There was another big storm that hit Europe, Storm Harry, and hit eastern Sicily. Another climate bomb strikes. Sorry. 500 million losses from a single storm in eastern Sicily, events like this are no longer exceptional. They're part of a rapidly shifting climate risk baseline. Yeah, man. We're going to talk about that. There's a big storm coming, Bulla, into the east, the northeast, and all the way down to the south. It's going to be a big ass storm, and a lot of people might or might not be prepared for this. I'm sure that I hope that people are seeing the news about this. And some of the predictions are downright frightening. So here is this is from yesterday, 2 days ago. Quietly admitting it now, a once in a lifetime storm is about to hit half the US. You said it's going to be -10, Bulla. South will get ice storms. It's the ice storms. Yeah, we're going to watch a post about this. I'm sorry about that. Illuminatus. I'm sorry about that. About the lag. I can't really do anything about it. We're just kind of we're roughing it today. We're roughing along. So my apologies for the shitty quality. Might be a little better on Odyssey. I'm not sure, but I'll try and reboot for the next time. 50 today in Missouri, or Missouri, if you like, says Poppy. This weekend, -10 plus wind plus 12 inches of snow. 12 inches? 12 inches. Yeah, we're going to look at this. It's going to be one of those storms you probably remember for much of your life. Matt Randolph, a renowned energy expert and Forbes energy contributor, breaks down a forecast that was dismissed all week. Okay, so here we go. We'll play this.
I've been waiting to talk about the storm that's coming this weekend because I didn't want to freak people out. And a lot of these forecasts never pan out, but this one is panning out, it looks like. Yeah, everyone's in agreement now that the crazy forecast is actually happening. This is going to be one of those storms you probably remember for much of your life. Basically, more than the eastern half of the United States is going to be below freezing. Most of that below zero. They're calling for, foot and a half of snow all through here, all the way to the mid-Atlantic, and 3 inches of ice in this pink band right here. 3 inches of ice is unbelievably catastrophic. That is worse than what Texas experienced in 2021. There's going to be loss of life. Anywhere there's 3 inches of ice, there's no power. There's not going to be a power line that's not on the ground when there's 3 inches of ice. And emergency services aren't going to be able to reach you because there's 3 inches of ice on the road. That's what's going to happen if this forecast is correct. The grid's going to fail. Refineries are going to shut down. Water systems are going to shut down. Could knock out a couple of LNG terminals if it goes far enough south on the Gulf Coast. This is going to be a disaster if this forecast is even close to accurate. I mean, a major disaster. Huge natural disaster across pretty much all the southern states. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if you live in the pink area, you should plan to be without power for at least a week, maybe a month. That doesn't mean it's going to happen, but you need to prepare for it because it wouldn't be the first time it happened, okay? This is that. People went without power for a month in Texas in 2021. This is a repeat of that. For you folks in the upper Midwest, where it's going to be like 30 below, take the largest electric bill you've ever had in your life and add, 25% to that or more. Yeah. But more importantly, just be prepared. Thanks.
Okay, so that's pretty dire warnings. I'm actually, I meant to do it yesterday, but I think what I'm going to do is download this video, and I'm going to be posting this video around on all my socials, just so, I think people are getting the message, but I just want to make sure that everybody's getting the message in case somebody, or at least understand the severity of it. The time when it happened Um, the time when it happened in 2021 was almost it was a disaster, and it was very harsh on a lot of people. It was a wake-up call for a lot of people, but they narrowly missed the part where a lot of people died or started looting and chopping down everything in sight to stay warm. Right, which if it would have went on, I think they had power out for, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 days, maybe into a week or something, and I think it was 2 weeks of getting back to normal. um so if it I'm telling you, if the power's out for like 2 or 3 weeks, you know or if it's down like that hard, that serious, then it starts getting into real, like, real disaster time where people are going crazy, losing it, freezing to death where they lay, or going out and literally just chopping down every tree they can find to stay warm, or looting all the food supplies they can to keep eating, or whatever it is. Just people are going to, if it goes on long enough, it starts to become desperation time. So my uh my thoughts or my advice would be to get GTFO, just GTFO, get in your car, GTFO, drive to a warmer place for a little while. Don't try and, like, hunker down, like, just like a hurricane or just like something else. GTFO. If you can. But I mean, if you're in Texas or, somewhere in that band that he was talking about, like, just get in your car and drive out, drive away, drive south, drive, most likely west, not really south. I don't know if you're going to be helped by going south, but if you can get across to, New Mexico or Arizona, west of that band, yeah, then you'll be in slightly warmer climes. I don't know. But it might not be a good place to just try and sit it out. Ice storms are the worst. Yes, Bulla. I've been in plenty of ice storms, and I know exactly how much, especially in Texas. I've been in several ice storms in Texas and Oklahoma, and things just stop. Everything just freaking stops. Like, nobody's going anywhere. Nobody's going anywhere. They don't have the infrastructure to deal with it. They don't have the snow plows and the trucks and the salt, and everything shuts down, and everybody just sits around and goes, "We don't know how to deal with this." I'm like, "What? Why'd you? It happened last year. What are you talking about?" I've been in Texas so many times during an ice storm, and every time they're like, "We don't know how to deal with this." I was like, "Dude, this happened 4 years in a row. It's time to stop telling me or yourself that you don't know how to deal with this and start dealing with it. Like, just expect it. Just assume it's going to happen every year." Like, I don't understand the thinking, but whatever. Humans. Well, you can get. Where are you going to go? It's a good question, Poppy. But yeah, it is a lot of hours out. Just getting out of Texas will take you 10 hours, but to get from San Antonio to El Paso will take you along. It's 11 hours or some shit. But if you can do it, I mean, if it takes you a day, you've got a day to get out. If it takes you a day of driving, get in that car and get out. Get to somewhere where it's not going to be, no power and 5 degrees. 40 degrees or 30 or 40 degrees and power is manageable. I don't know. I would do it if I was really if I was really nervous about it. I would just gas up the car and start driving, and then come on back when it's over. I don't know. If you got friends and family in a warmer state, you know, hit them up. I know it's a big storm. It is a big storm, and there's not really a lot of places to go. You're right. Um, Forecasters warn of a potentially catastrophic storm from Texas to the Carolinas. Great swaths of heavy snow, sleet, and freezing rain expected. Be careful, all y'all, everybody, people that are out there. Please be careful. Cold air clashing with rain to fuel a major winter storm. And extremely cold Arctic air. I want, where have we seen this before? Well, every single freaking winter now. Every single winter, there is a polar vortex situation where, a huge lump of air comes out of the Arctic, wipes everybody out for a few days. You just expect it. Like, just consider the climate changed. This is climate change. Consider the climate change. Expect that this is going to happen every year. And this is not just to people that are in the area. This is to municipalities, states, government officials. Just expect this to happen every year. Just plan on it. Budget for it. Work on it. Work it out. Just think like, this is going to happen. What are we going to do? Kind of like California says, hey, we're going to get an earthquake every couple, 20 years, and it's going to knock everything down. Well, what do we do about that? Like, would they have earthquake codes? They have building codes. They, kind of try to prepare for it. So, the we don't get this often thing doesn't fly anymore. I just, it kind of obsessed me to hear that from people. Like LA and fires. Exactly. Well, like Californian fires, like the whole West Coast and fires. Like, you're going to get that every single year. Now on the West Coast, we get atmospheric rivers every single winter. We get several of them, 2, 3, sometimes 10 every single winter now. So, like, yeah, when I hear people say like, this is a unprecedented event, I'm like, it's not unprecedented. It's been precedented for the last 5 years. It's happened every year for the last 5 years. What are you talking about? Like, do you have a memory? Are you a goldfish? Do you have a historical memory? Like, do you, I mean, I do. I have a memory a little bit. It's there. Okay. Hairless talking monkey sickles. All right. Thanks, Joseph. I had a little more on the storm. The other thing, while I have a little bit of hot air still in my lungs, the unprecedented 1,000-year label on any weather event should just be assumed that is going to happen every year, right? The 500-year flood, the 1,000-year storm, the unprecedented wildfire, the unprecedented drought, the king tides, the whatever it is that said, you think happens, like, oh, every once in a while it happens. Just assume that thing is going to happen every year and probably could happen to you. Assume it, expect it, live as if it's coming your way, because that's the truth. That's what's going to happen. All right. If and probably better to be prepared for such things than not. What else? What else is going on? Let's see. Yeah, no, yep, it's laggy. Gene says, after hearing what they can supposedly do to manipulate hurricanes, have to wonder how much of this extreme weather is artificial. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe it's teenage Dryas, or is that toddler Dryas? I don't know. I don't know. Who knows about it makes more sense to me that it's just more energy in the system, more energy in the atmosphere. It seems to be a better explanation to me than because if they can create all of these weather events, that's certainly a large amount of energy. I wouldn't, I'm not going to say, I would never say no way. I certainly give it that there's a possibility that some of that is going on, but I kind of don't know to what end. I don't know why. But I'm not. I take in all the ideas about it. Yes, that seems to make more sense to me. When it is explained like that, Malcolm, it's just a wetter atmosphere, weaker jet stream, sudden stratospheric warming. Right, it seems to line up pretty well with a warming world. A warmer world explains, a lot of this stuff. Now, are there lots of people out there that might want to manipulate or take advantage of these things? Absolutely. There are, evildoers everywhere that want to extract their little, bits of gold wherever they can, right? Their shillings. Disastrous capitalism is a thing, say the difference in gradient between the Arctic and equator is happening now. That lets the Arctic escape easy. I mean, it's so often now that it's almost just a normal thing, right? The thing that they used to call like, oh my God. And it seems to be, that also seems to be, that it's happening. There's quite a bit of evidence that is happening, right? Missouri is positioned often on the edge of fronts, so whiplash weather with a lazy jet stream is exciting. Yeah. You guys are in the thick of it. Please be careful if you're in any of these areas. Please take precautions. It might or might not be, as bad as they say, but you don't want to be in the middle of it when it is as bad as they say. There's so many things to cover. There's a general strike being called for tomorrow in Minneapolis. Let's look at this first.
Going to shop. We are not going to work. We are not going to school on Friday, January 23rd. And so for some people, they call that a strike. For many of us, we say that this is our right to refusal until something changes. We're doing it with unions, like the St. Paul Federation of Educators, Unite Here, Local 17, SEIU, Local 26, our ATU, our transit union here in Minnesota, and many, many more unions are gathering. We are asking every single person, every family member, every teacher, every bus driver, every childcare worker to come together, to be in community, to stand with one another. That's exactly what Renee Good was doing, standing up for her neighbor. Her whistleblowing was returned by bullets. We cannot let that stand. Minnesota will not continue to be a testing ground for the kind of fear and violence that is expected for the rest of this country.
And they should not. A little more on this. Minnesota is about to make history. We all need to pay attention. Let me be clear about something. What's building in Minnesota right now is unprecedented in modern American labor history. Well, let's hope so. I don't see any organization striking anything being done today is unprecedented because it's been precedented way better in the past, right? Like if you just go back in history, if you are aware of history, if you can read some history, you can go back and find like some pretty massive labor movements, pretty massive labor strikes, like some really hardcore labor strikes, back in the day. That all make, labor actions of today look, kind of tepid. No shade to people trying to organize, no shade at all. Like, please organize, please keep trying. I only say that to be like, try harder, like we should all try harder. We should all try harder. I just don't see like, people did some serious striking back in the day, some serious boycotting back in the day, months of striking and boycotting, shutting everything down, like really hard. Like we don't do any of that. There is nothing like that going on in, these days. So unprecedented. Come on. But keep up the morale for the troops. On Friday, January 23rd, labor unions, community organizations, faith leaders, and working people across Minnesota are calling for a complete shutdown. No work, no school, no shopping, nothing. They're not technically calling it a strike for legal reasons. My God, you can't even say the word strike. Pathetic. But let's not play semantic games here. I mean, it's fucking pathetic. It's freaking pathetic. Call it a strike. Stand on your business. Stand on business. It is a strike. Stand on business. God dang. And if it happens at the scale organizers are planning, it would be first statewide general strike in U.S. history. Really? And the largest general strike since Oakland in 1946. They didn't come out of nowhere. This is what happens when a community decides it will not live under siege anymore. Good. I mean, I'm good. Good. They should do it. On January 7th, ICE agent... Oh, well, we already know this story. A week after Renee Good was shot, another federal agent shot a Latino immigrant from Venezuela in the leg. Last Wednesday night, ICE detonated a tear gas canister underneath the family's car as they were trying to get home from basketball practice. The baby in the back seat, strapped in his car seat, was knocked unconscious. Homeland Security is doing all that they can to radicalize people even more. If they, protesting against state violence is not radical. The radical thing is the violence. No, what the people are doing is completely normal and acceptable. And actually, if you're not protesting this, that's unacceptable. That's radical. That's radical. I don't know what you want to call it. Yeah, what's radical is the state terrorism. And that's, what's illegal is the state terrorism. What is reprehensible and deplorable is the state terrorism. So let's get it straight. DHS, you criminal organization, because you are a criminal organization. You guys are a criminal cartel, terrorist cartel. That's what you are. You don't have any legal authority or ground to stand on. So keep trying. The people are within the law. They are within their rights. They are not. Their rights are not granted by you. Their rights are granted by the Constitution, and by universal law. So let's at least call it straight. Call the illegal criminal entity. Let's at least be straight about who is the illegal criminal entity, which is the Trump administration and Department of Homeland Security, et cetera, ICE, et cetera. Let's be clear on who are the criminals. Anyways, they have a lot of unions coming out. That's great. That's awesome. I hope it is unprecedented. I hope it is the biggest general strike in history. I hope they do shut the state down. I hope they do it for more than one day. I hope it spreads nationwide. I hope the whole nation goes on general strike. I hope we shut it down for a month. Until the corporations are on their knees bleeding cash and begging the Trump administration to stop what they're doing. That would be the better outcome. Who enjoyed seeing Europe straighten out Donald after his speech? Yeah. No union has officially voted to strike, so this isn't a real general strike. The legendary 1934 San Francisco general strike, one of the most successful in American history, started as a mass funeral procession after police killed 2 strikers and beat thousands more. Longshore workers and their supporters shut down the city's commercial district, and what began as a protest became a strike that shut down the entire city. Yeah. Mass protests can absolutely grow into mass strikes. The momentum is already building. On January 10th, 10,000 people turned out for a protest in downtown Minneapolis. The energy is there. The organization is there. The moral clarity is there. The coalition is demanding ICE immediately leave Minnesota. Jonathan Ross, the agent who killed Renee Good, be held legally accountable. No additional federal funding for ICE in the upcoming congressional budget. There you go. How about abolishing ICE altogether? ICE be investigated for human and constitutional violations. All right. These aren't radical demands. No, they are not. These are bare minimum requirements. I mean, at this point, people are protesting, are just trying to get the boot off their neck, which shouldn't be on. We're very far from a society that is trying to better themselves or make anything better, period. If you're in a place where you're just trying to get the boot off your neck, you're very, very far from freedom indeed. If they pull this off, I hope it sets precedent for the rest of the country and the world. I mean, it's about time. I mean, France, other places in Europe, Denmark, they get out in the street anytime they're slightly annoyed by something the government's doing, and they shut everything down. That's the kind of energy we need. It takes like just slaughtering people in the street for Americans to be like, hey, you know what? I don't know if I like that. Like we're really slow. Yeah. So that's good. That's encouraging. Let's encourage that on a mass scale. Let's see. This is an interesting article I found about the fact that and people have talked about this for a long time, the fact that the baby boomer generation is now starting to reach geriatric, en masse, that there's going to be a bunch of people that we're going to have to take care of in old age, and that it's going to be a strain on society. Unfortunately, they're all reaching this age at a time when pretty much everything is falling apart, and for the most part, it seems like the powers that be don't care about how they're taken care of in their old age, right? They're on the edge or on the verge of, chopping Social Security or chopping, Medicare. They would be happy to do that if they could. There's just a strong will against it, and they know how angry they would make people if they tried to do that. The youngest boomers turned 62 this year. Yeah. It's, I don't have time to read it because it's already at the end of the show, but for a country and an economy that is now, kind of collapsing, this does not look good. I mean, this article is talking about how are we going to care for all these people, and I'm talking about how are you, if you can't care for yourself, like, the outlook is actually much more dire, because if there's no infrastructure for people to actually for middle-aged or young people with children to take care of themselves, like, what kind of infrastructure is going to be around to take care of the elderly? There isn't. The answer is there is not going to be. So I don't know, like, that's a rough one too. I don't know what the answer to that is. I have no idea. Yeah, Gen X starts turning 65, and there's going to be survival of the fittest. That's kind of unfortunately how it's looking, which really, really sucks, because you're really you're kind of just leaving people to the wolves, and that's unfortunately how it's going to look. But I can't read the article. I don't have time. But interesting and scary thoughts about the fact that a lot of, there is a large group of people all getting older at the same time. How is that going to play out? I don't know. The Pentagon places troops on standby inside of the U.S. What the? Now this is a fruition of a conspiracy theory that started years ago, which wasn't necessarily founded on nothing, but kind of like silver going to the moon, right? Like years and years ago, they were like, buy you some silver. Silver's going to go to the moon, and like, right. So people were buying. Some people were very smart people, Malcolm. Other people were buying silver while it was just sitting at like $15 for like years and years and years and years. And then 15 years later, silver's at $100, right? Which it is today. Anyway, so remember Jade Helm back in the day, and all these other silver's at 96 freaking dollars. You are getting rich right now, brother. You are absolutely getting rich right now. So back in the day, remember like the Jade Helm, all these, Obama's moving troops around inside the U.S. They're going to start locking people up. FEMA camps. Remember all these things that were going around since I want to say like 2012, maybe a little earlier. And it wasn't based on nothing because the infrastructure was there, right? Because Obama did away with habeas corpus and some other, he extended the NDAA, and he was taking away. His administration was busy chipping away at your rights. They basically set things up for Trump to do what he's doing now. It's not Trump suddenly took power and like, no, I'm a strong man. No, every single president has, in the last 30 years, has chipped away at your rights and given the president more rights. Every single president, Democrat and Republican, has chipped away at your rights and given the presidential office more rights and increased the ability for fascism take over. So this conspiracy about like people being arrested in the United States and taken to FEMA camps, it is now here. It is now alive. It is now reality. Pentagon placing troops on standby inside the U.S. Trump saying he's going to resurrect the Insurrection Act. Jump at the car, troll thrift stores, picked up $600 or 600 pounds of 9-karat gold for $8. Whoa, nice. Good job, brother. Yes. Roughly 1,500 active duty U.S. soldiers have been placed on standby for possible deployment to Minnesota as protests tied to federal immigration enforcement continue in and around Minneapolis. While no order has been given to move the troops, the decision to prepare them has drawn national attention because of how rare it is for active duty forces to be readied for potential use inside. How rare. Federal officials describe the move as precautionary. State and local leaders argue it risks escalating tensions. Do you think so? Civil liberties advocates warn about precedent. Impeach the precedent. Supporters counter that readiness is necessary to protect federal personnel and property if unrest worsens. For most Americans, this story is not just about Minnesota. It raises broader questions about federal authority, public safety, and how the government responds when protests and enforcement actions collide. They just make it sound like a weather event. It's just it's hot air and cold air colliding together to make some stuff. What? It's not really what's happening, but current situation traces back to protests in Minneapolis following a fatal encounter involving an immigration and customs. We all know about this. It's what's happening now. How rare is military readiness for domestic unrest? I mean, it's happened in the past, surely. Active duty military involvement in domestic unrest is uncommon in modern American history. In most cases, governors rely on National Guard units under state control to assist with disasters. Preparing active duty troops for potential domestic deployment sends a different signal. Defense officials themselves acknowledge that such readiness is rare and usually reflects heightened concern about the possibility of significant escalation. While the troops remain on standby, the act of preparing them underscores how seriously federal leaders view the situation. Historically, active duty forces have been used domestically during extreme moments such as the desegregation crisis or widespread riots when state authorities could not maintain order. Those episodes were remembered precisely because they were exceptional. Any actual deployment of active duty troops for law enforcement purposes, would likely hinge on the Insurrection Act. This federal law allows the president to deploy military forces domestically when state authorities are unable or unwilling to protect constitutional rights or enforce federal law. Oh, unable or unwilling. Again, the wording is funny. Presidents have historically treated the Insurrection Act as a last resort. Its use carries political, legal, and social risks, including accusations of overreach. In recent days, the president has publicly referenced the law while warning that unrest could justify extraordinary measures. Even without formally invoking the Insurrection Act, active duty troops can be deployed in limited roles, such as protecting federal property. That distinction matters legally, but it may not matter much to the public watching soldiers prepare for possible movement into a major city. For many Americans, the debate is less about the technical legality and more about precedent. All right, anyways. What could go wrong? Yeah. Look at this. This is this is under Biden. Biden and the Pentagon changed DoD Directive 5240.01, adding language to use lethal force against Americans. Again, like I said, Democrats and Republicans alike have chipped away at your rights and added more power, more authority to the office of the president. It's like they're in a relay race and they're just handing the baton off to each other and saying, like, all right, now you go, do your best. And not best as in for the best betterment of American people, like do the best for the people in power, right? I've usurped and gained more power for the office, under my term. Now here's the baton, go do some damage. So yeah, that's not good. And we have private prisons that are being built. So maybe not FEMA camps, but private prisons that are being built all over the U.S. to house illegals, or people they don't, people who are domestic terrorists. No, well, right. So they're not just planning it, they're doing it. This is right. You're right. The U.S. cannot make a fighter jet without China. You're right. You're right. ICE is getting more AI. This is not really AI, but hardware, software, spyware. In September, the Department of Homeland Security signed a $2 million deal contract with Paragon, an Israeli firm whose spyware product, Graphite, focuses on breaching encrypted messaging applications such as Telegram and Signal. Wired first reported that the technology was acquired by ICE and it will be soon involved in executing the Trump administration's promise of mass deportations and crackdowns on border crossings. A source at Paragon told me that the deal followed a vetting process during which the company was able to demonstrate that it had robust tools to prevent other countries that purchase its spyware from hacking Americans, but that wouldn't limit the U.S. government's ability to target its own citizens. Oh, you are targeted. You have been targeted. You've been targeted. Malcolm says soon there will be two types, those with hard assets and the slaves. Scariest dude at Davos is Alex Karp. Yeah. Oh yeah. Alex Karp is a frightening individual. He is a lunatic, right? You can see it in his eyes, in his mannerisms. He is an absolute lunatic. That guy just does not give AF. Here's I forgot to play this. Here's Trump talking about freedom cities.
Past generations of Americans pursued big dreams and daring projects that once seemed absolutely impossible. They pushed across an unsettled continent, wild frontier. They transformed American life with the interstate highway system. Magnificent it was. And they launched a vast network of satellites into orbit.
You couldn't do that now. You couldn't do that.
All around the earth. But today, our country has lost its boldness. Under my leadership, we will get it back in a very big way. If you look at just 3 years ago, what we were doing was unthinkable. How good it was, how great it was for our country.
What?
Our objective will be a quantum leap in the American standard of living. That's what will happen. Here are just a few of the ways we can do it. Almost 1/3 of the landmass of the United States is owned by the federal government, with just a very, very small portion of that land, just a fraction, 1/2 of 1%. Would you believe that? We should hold a contest to charter up to 10 new cities and award them to the best proposals for development. In other words, we'll actually build new cities in our country again. These freedom cities will reopen the frontier, reignite American imagination, and give hundreds of thousands of...
He actually said the word frontier. There's no frontier, bro.
Young people and other people.
The frontier is your compassion muscle. Like, where is that? That's uncharted territory.
All hardworking families, a new shot at home ownership, and in fact, the American dream. Another big opportunity is in transportation. Dozens of major companies in the United States and China are racing to develop vertical takeoff and landing vehicles for families and individuals. Just as the
flying cars, yeah.
United States led the automotive revolution in the last century, I want to ensure that America, not China, leads this revolution in air mobility. These breakthroughs can transform commerce, bring a giant infusion of wealth into rural America, and connect families and our country in new ways. Likewise, through our Strategic National Manufacturing Initiative, which is going to be very big and very, very successful, we will turn forgotten communities into hives of industry, producing the goods we will no longer import from China. We will also have
I think this is an election campaign speech. I think this went before he was reelected, 2024 or something. Yeah, he made a lot of promises. So, and none of them are anywhere to be found. None of them are anywhere on the horizon or anywhere to be found. Yeah, I think it's a pre 2025. Okay. Okay, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to support the show, there's lots of ways to support the show in the description box of whatever channel you're watching on. Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, etc. All the usuals are there. If you'd like to support the show, that would be super great. You can also support on Substack, Patreon. His brain is bran. It's like a bowl of bran. All right, guys. Thanks so much. Appreciate you. Enjoy your weekend as much as you can. I will see you on Monday at 12 p.m. in the Pacific. Could be mostly brand. I think it's mostly brand. All right. Until next time, beware the bear. Mm-hmm.